Hello and welcome back to Histories Tech. Today we are looking at the Armored Recovery Vehicle. Basically, tanks turned into tow trucks. Now honestly, this was originally going to be a video about the M88, which will be here in the near future instead. But I really wanted to go into depth on what is an Armored Recovery Vehicle and why would I do a whole episode on one of them. So what is an ARV, an Armored Recovery Vehicle, and why did we build them in the first place? So essentially what an ARV is it is a tank or an APC, an armored personnel carrier, that has been converted for use as a military vehicle recovering operation or for repairs of damaged, stuck, or inoperable fighting vehicles. They are typically equipped with things such as cranes, bulldozer blades, maybe electrical generators, repair equipment, in order to try and service vehicles in the field or at least pull them out of the field so they can be recovered. Now, in order to understand why they were built, we've got to go all the way back to World War I, the age of tanks, tank development, and things like that. So it makes a lot of sense that the earliest we're going to see an ARV appear is during World War I. And we actually have the British to thank for this because it didn't take long for them to figure out that these tanks were a valuable asset and couldn't just be left in the field. So the British actually took one of their Mark IVs, which is one of their most popular tanks, and actually developed what was known as a salvage tank. And they basically put a set of jibs on there with some cable setups so they could actually do field maintenance with these tanks. By the time we get to World War II, we actually start seeing real ARVs appearing. And by this, I mean we're seeing these armies taking different types of tanks that may have been obsolete or damaged and adding all this heavy equipment on it to make it specifically for recovering tanks. And every major nation during World War II is going to develop their own ARV. A lot of them had very similar equipment, the most common one being an A-frame or a crane attached to the vehicle. And essentially this was to pull out engines, do some turret repairs, things like that, anything that would require heavy lifting in the field. And we're going to see this continuous development of ARVs after the end of World War II and into the Cold War, where we're going to start seeing some post-World War II vehicles being upgraded and developed like the Sherman. We will see APCs like the American M110 or the AFV, the British FV430, being converted into armored recovery vehicles, such as the example here, the M578 light recovery vehicle. We will also see heavy tanks, such as the American M103, be converted into heavy recovery vehicles like the M51, or the British Conqueror being converted into the FV220 Conqueror ARV. But it's when we get to the main battle tank that we start seeing the real massive changes to the ARV. The main battle tank will end up becoming the main platform for the ARV, such as when the Americans took the M60 Patton and created the M88, which as a child I got to get up close and personal with thanks to my brother, as this being the vehicle he used during his time during the Marine Corps. The United States is not alone in its development of main battle tank ARVs. Germany has done a lot with their Leopard series of tanks. Their Bergen Panzer II and III have been some of the most exported ARVs in the world. But they're not alone, as countries all over the world continue to take the latest generation, such as the Brim 1, which is based off of the Russian T-90, or the Challenger Armored Repair Vehicle, which is based off of the Challenger main battle tank for the British Army. Now, unlike many times when I talk about the technology and we're wondering what the future may be, the future's already here. Multiple nations have begun fielding the next generation of ARVs. The United States Army, for example, is doing reliability testing on their newest variant of the M88, the M88A3, which, if everything works the way it's supposed to, will finally be able to recover an M1 Abrams by itself, unlike previous models where it requires two M88s to recover an Abrams. And even next-generation tanks already have ARVs in the works, such as the Challenger 3, which won't even be fielded until 2027 at the earliest, but there's already an ARV in the plans for this tank. That is, if it doesn't get canceled and replaced by the European Main Ground Combat System, which is a European-designed main battle tank. But as you can clearly see, the Armored Recovery Vehicle is something as old as tank warfare, and really is not going away anytime soon. In fact, as long as there is going to be tanks in the battlefield, there's going to be armored recovery vehicles. And I would even speculate that in the future, it is very likely that we're going to see a drone variant of this that can at least hook up to a tank and pull it out of the field. But that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you on the next time.